News, I'm Karen McHugh. Further details regarding last night's droning of an ISIS terrorist in response to Thursday's deadly attack in Kabul.
Here's what we know about this. This was a drone strike on a vehicle with 2 people in it, according to U.S. officials, carried out in eastern Afghanistan. The target was a person believed to be an Islamic State planner. We don't know if this was someone who was involved specifically in this week's bombing, but U.S. officials believe this individual was killed.
Fox's Doug Luzader, one GOP lawmaker, says there's still a lot more at stake in Afghanistan.
We still have thousands of Americans trapped behind enemy lines who want to get out of the country, who can't get out of the country because of the incompetence of this president and his team around him who are unable to get them out. That needs to be the sole focus and mission at this moment, getting every American out safely without any more bloodshed.
Indiana Congressman and Afghanistan war veteran Jim Banks on Fox and Friends. America is listening to Fox News.
The WPKY Saturday Morning Quarterback Show is on the air on 1580, 103.3 WPKY, and WPKYOnline.com. Time to take a look back at last night's Caldwell game. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
A big win last night for the Caldwell County Tigers, coming from behind to knock off the Madisonville North Hopkins Maroons 25-14 out at Tiger Stadium. Good morning, everyone. This is Todd Griffin with the Sideline Report here at 1580, 103.3 WPKY, Princeton, Kentucky. Tiger head coach Will Barnes is with us this morning. Also, Caldwell coach Jeff Riley in the studio with us. And Will, has to be a whole lot better Saturday this week than what you guys had last week.
Yeah, for sure. It's a little bit easier to get up and get going, and obviously a lot better mood this week, and really proud of our kids, and hope they enjoy this win too today. And it's always good to win.
Well, did you think at some point you would kind of break through? It just seemed like we struggled to get points up on the board, even though it seemed like guys were playing hard, but we just didn't have much to show for it until the fourth quarter last night.
Yeah, I thought we moved the ball well, really throughout the night, and would have something go wrong on first down when we were moving it. That kind of put us in some bad situations, but we were able to kind of correct those things. And, when you're not in 1st and 20 and you can play, 2nd and 5 and 2nd and 4, it's a lot easier to play offensively. So they just kept plugging away, and just a really good team effort from all of our guys last night.
Well, and Jeff, one thing that I think really helped the team last night was that more of the roster was available to be on the field for you guys than the previous week against Christian County.
Yeah, it always helps to get some of your guys back. We got some kids got to feeling a little better. The kids that weren't COVID kids we got some of those kids back. There's a little stomach thing going around, I think, and we also were able to kind of get some of those kids off quarantine from the week before, and those guys all plugged in and helped out a bunch too. So, yeah, it is good. It's good to have a little more depth, and I think we had a little bit better result in places, and that was a good thing too. You're right.
Well, a few more receivers to throw the ball to maybe, and on the defensive side of the football, it seemed like just a few more bodies to run out there, than what you had the week before.
Yeah, it was. The depth on defense was a big deal, and then, we kind of, Landon kind of got nicked up last week, and having Jameis back was a big help defensively. He's a physical presence inside, and he's still learning to play linebacker, but he comes downhill and hits people, and having him in there definitely helped in the run game. And those were big additions. Having Cole Sherrill back on the O-line was big, and I'm sure I'll miss somebody. Having Richardson and then having Max out there on the edges, both offensively and defensively, was super helpful. And I'm sure there's some other kids that we got back that I can't come up off the top of my head that impacted the game. But, yeah, it's good. And, we got a couple kids that were still on quarantine, but we're kind of looking forward to getting those back. And fingers crossed we can get our whole team in front of us here before too long.
An interesting line score from last night for the Tigers, 3-0-22. Will, were you kind of expecting a breakout there at some point?
Yeah. I felt like even going back to last week and even in the scrimmages, we were doing some good things offensively, and Obviously we got the defensive touchdown there in the fourth quarter. That was big, and when you can get momentum going, it just kind of snowballs, and I think that's kind of what happened there. Once we first got the first touchdown, that kind of led to the rest of it.
Quite the comeback last night, because if you go back to, I guess, the end of the third quarter, early part of the fourth quarter, we had a field goal chance to try to tie the game and just missed it. And then Madisonville hits us with an 80-yard touchdown pass to make it 14-3. At that point, it's kind of looking a little dire for you guys.
Yeah, and something we kind of talked about last week or this week going into the game was how we would respond after last week, and kind of talked about things weren't always going to be going our way, and how are you going to respond, and felt like we just kept playing all night and kept chipping away, and finally we were able to make some plays once we crossed the 50 and got in the end zone. And the fourth quarter effort was phenomenal, and we could have just said laid down and kind of folded the 10 in, but we kept playing and had a really good fourth quarter.
Obviously, the play of the game for the Tigers was the pick six by Gus Fox, 37-yard interception return. And, Jeff, it looked like Gus was waiting on that pass.
Yeah, I think he kind of got tired of him throwing that bubble over there at him and decided he's going to see if he could do something about it. But, yeah, that was a great play. He did what he was supposed to do. He kind of sat down in there, and I think he just kind of opened his hips and kind of saw it a couple times and thought, well, if they're going to come back to it, I'm going to do something about it. And he was right where he was supposed to be, and they threw it right to him. So that was and he had enough enough football player in him to catch it and go score. So if he can do that, that's a good stuff. So, and he's a freshman kid that, he really wasn't around a lot this summer, and we kind of thought when he came in, he's kind of a long kid, and he's kind of a quiet, kind of a, if you don't know he's there, he doesn't really have a presence, but then he just kind of plays big. And, I think Will said last night we really didn't have him penciled in to kind of be a guy for us, and he's just kind of shown up and done little things right, and got an opportunity last week to play outside there and did well, and continues to get better. So he's going to be hopefully a bright spot for us for the next 4 years.
Well, that was my next question, that wasn't really a kid you guys had expected to play a whole lot, but he kind of got pushed in there and has done a pretty good job.
Yeah, and what I told these young guys early on is if you'll come in and be coachable, you'll have a chance to play, and that's exactly what he's done. Gus didn't show up until July, so he came in and is very coachable. He's got a good head on his shoulders, and he's just there's some guys that just kind of have a knack for being around the ball and making good heady plays, and you saw that last night, and we're really excited about him and what player we think he can be if he'll continue to get better. So had another good game last night for sure.
Certainly had a great moment with the interception. We've got that up at yoursportsedge.com as a Max's moment, so you can go back and watch that. And, guys, I'm not sure the Madisonville quarterback ever even saw him there. I think he just turned and threw that pass, and Gus was there.
Yeah, they just threw those little fast screens that we throw quite a bit, and as a quarterback, you never think that ball's going to get picked off. The worst case is it's an incomplete pass. So, they didn't block Gus right there, and he just kind of read it and got in the throwing lane, and just a really good play there.
I talked to Gus and to Jack Stevens after the game last night for Your Sports Edge, and Gus credited the game that Jack had at quarterback, and Jack credited Gus for turning the game around with the interception. So there you go.
Yeah, that's good. It's that shows you what kind of kids those are, and that is not real surprising. And I think that's why we won the game last night, because I feel like our whole team had that type of attitude and believed in each other and believed in themselves, and gave great effort, and that's really what it's all about. And if we can continue to have those types of things, we're going to be a pretty good football team when it's all said and done.
Well, is it a little easy to get frustrated though when you move the ball and then you don't have any points to show for it, and then you do it again, and you don't have any points to show for it, and you play 3 quarters, and you've got 3 points on the board. I mean, that how do you kind of keep the spirit up on the sideline during all of that?
As an offensive coach, yeah, absolutely, it is, and I know for those guys it's frustrating too because it's just one little thing here and there that was kind of setting us back, and it was really good, obviously, to break through there in the fourth quarter to win the game, but also give our guys some confidence, and we can score, we can be a good offensive team if we take care of the ball and do some of these little things. We're probably not going to average 50 a night, but I think we're going to be good enough defensively where we can score 21, 28 in that area a night, and if we'll do that, we'll have a chance to win a lot of games.
Yeah, that would have had you in the ball game last week against Christian County.
Yeah, and the difference between last week and this week was those when we did move the ball and kind of get in the red zone. Last week we didn't capitalize, and this week once we hit that fourth quarter, we were able to capitalize on a couple of drives there, and we were able to kind of seal the game there.
Quarterback Jack Stevens with some big plays late in the contest as well, and made a couple of wise decisions to keep the football and ended up getting into the end zone on both of them.
Yeah, there was the first one was on that third down and got a little pressure off the edge, and Jack's a really athletic kid and a lot of heart and desire to get that ball in the end zone because it definitely wasn't easy, and all that time in the weight room and doing all that stuff kind of paid off for him right there. And then the second touchdown, I'm watching it on the sideline and thinking, oh, they've got us nailed in the backfield with Smiley, and Jack made a phenomenal read there, and that's one of those things we practice a little bit, but it's something you don't see a whole lot. With as many people that run zone read, people are coaching that up pretty well now, so you don't get those keep situations a ton, and great decision by him, having his head in the game, and it's not an exaggeration whenever I say that's one of the best decisions. I haven't watched I've probably watched every game since 06, and it's one of the best decisions the quarterback's made since 06. That's for sure.
Well, the 5-yard run, he was actually, it looked like stopped a little short, but he was actually laying on a Madisonville player on the ground, so he was still, able to reach the ball out and get it into the end zone.
Yeah, that's a huge play and great effort, because then you're looking at fourth down, and, what do you want to do? Do you want to try to kick a short field goal there to cut it to 8, or, you want to try to punch it in? And, that I'm glad he got it in so we didn't have to make that decision.
Well, again, that was going to be my next question is, you had to be debating on the sideline a little bit. If you don't get the third down play, do you kick the field goal there, which you think is a pretty easy 3 points for you and keeps you in the game, but man, putting up 8 there was a big difference.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And not getting to that fourth down, it made a big difference. But obviously, getting the 8 points there kind of gave us some momentum too. I think if you get 3 there, it keeps you in the game, but the momentum, you obviously don't get as much momentum out of that.
Well, talk a little bit about the 2-point play. You had the throwback pass. What was it, for Smiley or was it for Jack? I mean, who was he throwing the ball back to?
It was for Smiley, and I'll have to give Coach Franklin some credit on that. He always talks about having a throwback screen when people are playing man coverage, and when you get down there inside the 5. Most teams play man coverage, and when you throw a little eye candy with it, and we ran the jet sweep to Max, which we had ran earlier in the game. Smiley just kind of got lost in the shuffle, and that was an easy 2 points there. He was able to walk in, so that's a big play too. Great execution by everybody. Up front, it's a little bit different play than we normally run, and Max had to get that ball off as he was getting hit, and made a good throw. So really good execution, and we put it in on Monday, so we haven't ran it a ton, probably 4 or 5 times. So great job by our guys executing.
Yeah, the game kind of turned really quickly there in the first part of the fourth quarter. The first Stevens touchdown run came with 10:43 left in the game. Then the pick six was at 9:03. So in a span of just a couple of minutes there, that game went from 14-3 Madisonville to you guys being up 18-14.
Yeah, and obviously that was a big momentum swing for us. And I talked to Josh on the headset and a couple plays before we had that interception. I said, man, it'd be great to have an interception, get a turnover here and get a short field. And obviously getting the touchdown was even better.
Well, I kept thinking, Jeff, that maybe the defense would come up with that first touchdown of the season. Ended up being the second one, but still came at a good time.
We'll take defensive touchdowns no matter what number they are. And yeah, that was big. I mean, I think looking at just listening to you guys talk, there was we could have easily gotten down. And after they went up 14-3, and they got that 2-point conversion, I kind of thought, okay, our kids are going to have to, something positive is going to have to happen soon, or this is not going to turn out very well. And, how big a play that was for Jack to find the end zone and get that first touchdown of the year and kind of break the ice. And that was absolutely huge. And defensively, I think our kids hung in there, and they, we gave up a couple things, a couple big plays, but all in all, pretty pleased with the way that they played. And then Gus getting his big defensive touchdown obviously was good, and it's good for him. I mean, he needs to know that if I do things like I'm supposed to, good things can happen. So.
Well, it was another good crowd, I thought, out at Tiger Stadium last night, and the weather was pretty decent for the second week of the season as well. But again, we talked about it. You guys had a chance to tie the game with a field goal attempt, and Blake just pulled it just a little bit. Of course, it's like a 43-yard attempt, so those aren't easy anyway. But you go from being down 6-3 with a chance to tie to a play later after they finally got the ball spotted. Madisonville throws the 80-yard touchdown pass, and you can almost just feel the air get sucked out of the place, and it's tough to get it back once that happens, but you guys were able to do that.
Well, Elijah Shaheen, after when we came off to the sideline and we were going kickoff return, had a very encouraging attitude and said, "Hey, it's just the third quarter. Keep playing. We're going to be okay. Let's go score, and we're right in this game." And he's obviously a leader on our team, and that was a big moment, I think. To see him do that and kind of be encouraging when, like we've said, it was kind of a time where we could have said, man, we just gave up an 80-yard touchdown, this thing's over. I think that was a big moment that probably would get unnoticed otherwise. To say, hey, we're still in this thing, and respond the correct way. So, good example of leadership from him.
Well, and another kid I want to talk about is Logan Smiley. I mentioned him a little bit, but 112 yards on 23 carries last night. He's kind of the workhorse.
Oh yeah, it's and if he gets tired, he comes out of play, gets a quick drink, and he's like, I'm ready to go. I'm getting back in. So, 23 carries this week. He was around 20 last week. So, probably need to get him some more catches versus rushes, but he does such a good job with what we're doing schematically. We run a lot of inside and outside zone, and his running style is really suited for that. He does a really good job of pressing into the line of scrimmage. He's got good vision, and he'll cut it back some, he'll bounce it some, and when you're running those zone plays, that's kind of what you're looking for from the back, is to press it, make one cut, and go. And he's another kid that's been in the weight room, has worked hard, focused on his body, and you can see that in the way he runs. He's a very physical runner, and one of those plays to get us down inside the 10, he was carrying a couple of guys with him. So he's we kind of missed him last year. He was a little banged up and didn't get to use him as much as we wanted, and through 2 games, he's given us chances to win both games.
Well, he's not the biggest kid on the team, but he just keeps moving and working out there.
Yeah, his feet, when you watch a good running back, their feet are always moving, and that's what he does. And, he's fast, but he's not, a burner by any means, but makes really good cuts, has really good vision, and is just a tough kid. And when you have all of that, you got a pretty good little player, and he definitely is. And he's probably going to keep getting 20, 25 touches, and he could probably handle up to 30, 35. He would say he could probably take 40, but we probably don't need to be doing that.
Well, you guys are trying to play a little different style this year. I was looking at the stats, and I'm not sure a lot of people would recognize a Tiger football team from these stats. You guys had 44 rushing attempts last night and 16 passes.
Yeah, it is a little different. We're playing with 2 tight ends quite a bit, and 23 carries, 112 yards. You got to keep running the ball, and we're doing a pretty good job up front, and we're going to continue to do that, and got to develop a little bit better of a passing game off that running game. But we're going to hang our hat on being able to run the ball.
Well, if nothing else, you guys are absolutely killing it this year in time of possession.
Yeah, 29 minutes last night, and it was probably pretty close to the same, last week. So, we talk about this quite a bit. It's not, as big an indicators as to winning as people probably think, but still, with the way we're trying to play, we are trying to chew some clock and be a little bit more methodical than we probably have in the past. So keeping the ball like that is good. We just got to start getting some more points out of it.
Well, I think that time of possession was probably a better indicator 20 or 30 years ago when people played a little differently.
Sure.
The last 10 years for you guys, it hasn't meant anything.
Yeah. And, the name of the game is scoring points. So if we can get to where we're possessing the ball for 30 minutes and scoring 21 and 28, we're going to be tough to handle. So, I'm okay with the 30 minutes, but we got to get some more points earlier in the game.
Madisonville with a few more yards last night, 292 to 224. Tigers, though, with more first downs, 15 to 11. Of course, you take away that big 80-yard pass play Madisonville had, and the stats are about even from last night.
Yeah, they had a big, 80-yard touchdown, so that was a big chunk of their offense. So, really, really proud of our guys defensively. Outside of really 2 plays, they had the other touchdown was on a 4th down. So, did a pretty good job bottling those guys up.
This is Saturday Morning Quarterback on WPKY. Head coach Will Barnes and Coach Jeff Riley in the studio with us this morning. Need to get to a break, but we'll be back with more as the Saturday Morning Quarterback Show continues here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
You and your phone have been through a lot this past year. It's been your lifeline to the world. And now some big wireless company is telling you got to buy a new phone from them and sign their contract? They don't control you. With TracFone Wireless, you can keep the phone, number, and network you already have. Already got a 5G phone? Keep that too, because TracFone runs on America's best networks now with 5G nationwide. Plus, we've got unlimited talk and text smartphone plans starting at just $20. TracFone Wireless. Now you're in control. 5G nationwide access requires a 5G capable device. Actual availability, coverage, and speed may vary.
The Labor Day savings inside the Home Depot means something different once you're back out there doing. For example, in here, it's a wide selection of top-rated appliances. But out there, it's your home running like a well-oiled machine. Order in-store, online, or in the Home Depot app and get free delivery and flexible installation. So you save money and time. Right now, you can save big on a new LG wash tower at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Valid through September 15th, 2021. U.S. only while supplies last. See store for details.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast is brought to you by Kay's Kitchen.
Your WPKY Weather Edge Weather Center forecast. Another hot day ahead with a heat advisory in effect until 7 o'clock. It's going to feel like 103 degrees. Otherwise, we're going to see a mostly sunny sky with a slight chance of some afternoon showers and thunderstorms, high around 91. Then overnight, we'll see a few clouds overhead with a low around 71. And tomorrow, partly sunny with a chance of some showers and thunderstorms, high around 89. But again today, mostly sunny, warming up to 91 with a heat advisory in effect until 7 o'clock this evening.
The Saturday Morning Quarterback Show continues on WPKY. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
We are back on the Saturday Morning Quarterback Show here at 1580, 103.3 WPKY. The Tigers picking up a 25-14 victory over Madisonville North Hopkins last night at Tiger Stadium. Caldwell County overcoming a 14-3 deficit in the fourth quarter in that one. Will Barnes and Jeff Riley in the studio with us, and pretty good showing for your defense last night, guys. Drew Davis, 11 tackles, and that front three on defense, just a pretty good job last night.
Yeah, and we kind of thought going into the game if they would have good games and kind of control the line up front, we would have a really good chance to win. And 27 tackles between the three of them, that's pretty good. So proud of those guys and their effort. And if they'll play well, our defense is going to play well, and we'll have chances to win games.
Yeah, Shaheen with 9 tackles, Angel Long with 7 last night. Of course, Drew Davis and Shaheen both had a sack. Drew Davis blocked a punt. Is that something you guys kind of work on? Was that by design, or did he just make an individual play there?
Coach Mack does a good job on our punt, a lot of our special teams, and does a really good job on punt return, looking at, where their punter punts it and where the block point is, and emphasizing those things during the week. And, Drew did a good job. He's pretty athletic. If you're listening, Drew, you're not as athletic as you think you are.
Yeah, for a big guy. You're not. You're athletic for a big guy.
But no, he did a good job there, making a nice athletic play there. And that's a big play in a game. It's basically a turnover, and we got to turn that into points because we had really good field position.
Well, and it wasn't one of those situations where he just got all the way to the punter, but he found that spot, where the ball was going to come off the foot, and was able to get a hand on it and bat that thing away.
Yeah, and when you can get those types of plays, your percentage, your chance to win goes up dramatically.
Well, Jeff, talk about those guys up front a little bit, because they've had to be out there. I was going to say quite a bit, but when you look at time of possession, maybe not as much. But they have,
because they were on offense last night
too.
So most of that time they were out there. Yeah, we give those guys a hard time, but there are 3 kids that have been a big part of our program for the last 3 and 4 years, and I put a lot of pressure on them, and I'm going to continue to put pressure on them, because I think, all in all, when they're humble and they play hard, they're pretty good. They're a pretty good combination of 3 kids that can play football a little bit for us. And last night after the game, I was kind of teasing Angel and Drew about playing both ways, because they had hinted around about it for the last 3 years about how they thought they could play both ways all the time, and why don't we play them both ways? And last night I was like, so y'all pretty much played both ways? And they're like, yeah, that's hard, Coach. It's like, yeah. So, but they did a good job, man. They were kind of warriors for us, and sometimes that heat and the humidity is tougher on a big dude, and you get out there and have to, bang around. And, when you're playing in the trenches, both sides of the ball, you're getting hit or hitting somebody every single play. And so that takes a toll on them. Those guys are probably sore this morning, but they did play well last night. And as long as we stay humble, I think we can they'll continue to get better. Decide that we're going to be who we're supposed to be, and not worry about, being too flashy and all that other stuff. And I think we'll see some good things out of those guys. And hopefully we get healthy on the offensive line, start getting everybody back, and we can get them a little more rest offensively, and, kind of, play them in spots and not have to play the whole game.
Well, I don't remember Madisonville getting a whole lot of yardage on the ground up the middle last night.
Yeah, there's a couple good gashes. They got us for 8 and 10, kind of a little zone play, and they would get in their little I I formation stuff and run ISO and power at us, and we kind of gave up some stuff that I kind of got onto them about. But then they kind of shut that down and kind of closed it off, and did a pretty good job. And hats off to Massfield's running backs, because there were multiple times we were hitting those guys in the backfield, and they were breaking tackles and bouncing off. And those two kids, the Price kid and the McAdoo kid, ran the ball really hard, and they were tough to bring down. And our kids had to work to get them on the ground. And finally, once we kind of figured out that you can't just go bump somebody down with your shoulders and can wrap people up, and we have to continue to get to the football and get hats to the ball. We got better as the night went along, and so that we kind of battled through. So I'm pretty proud of our defense, in particular those three guys up front. And when you have some pretty good production out of your D line, it's usually better off than, because I think last week Isaiah led us in tackles, and it's usually not very good when your corners lead your team in tackles. So.
Well, and we mentioned it earlier, but you guys had some guys back this week that you didn't have against Christian County, and that really kind of made a difference in the game too.
Yeah, I think for especially up front, and here's where Angel has been kind of a kind of solid, very solid for us his first two games. Last week he played every snap at center. So this week he was playing tackle, and the main reason he was playing tackle was because we felt like the kid that they were going to bring off the edge was a very athletic, fast kid, and it was that number 21. I can't remember the kid's name, but he was very athletic and very quick and gave us some problems. So we moved Angel out there to kind of draw what we felt like was the toughest, the blocking assignment, and then. This week he played almost every snap there, but about 3 or 4 at nose guard. So, he's kind of been a versatile guy for us that's done a lot of stuff. And, getting Brady back this week kind of allowed that to happen. So Brady coming back and, playing at center the whole game and letting us move Angel around. And, it's a little easier to get him some rest at offensive tackle than it is to get him rest at center, just because of the experience that we have on the team there. So. That definitely was big, getting those guys back.
Just a couple of guys still out, and what's their prognosis moving forward now to getting back in the lineup?
I think it'll be probably next week. Fingers crossed. Everybody stays healthy through this week, and hopefully get the whole team back by maybe next week.
What a lot of people don't know is if a kid tests positive for COVID, of course they have their 2-week window. But then there's a week acclimation period, kind of like when you have a concussion. So, having Mike is putting those guys that have a positive test through that acclimation period, and then they have to go get checked out by, I don't know if it's got to be a cardiologist, but it's some, they'll get their heart and circulatory system checked out before they're allowed to come back to play. So you're talking about at least probably a 3-week process for those kids that are positive. Now the quarantine kids can come back as soon as they're quarantined up,
But no new injuries from last night's game to speak of?
Not that I know of right now. Things pop up sometimes over the weekend, but probably pretty sore this morning, but should be fairly healthy heading into next week.
Do want to remind everyone that there's actually football out at Tiger Stadium today. The Junior Pro preseason jamboree is going on out there, so there's a lot of future Tigers. Well, I guess they're Tigers now, but future high school Tigers out there on the field.
Yeah, those guys are fun to watch, and we were able to do a youth camp this year, which was good to kind of get to know some of them. So when I get a chance to get out there, I'm going to go out there and watch them this year. I hope everybody else does too.
Well, and we talked about this last week, and again this week. Field really looked nice this week, and again, you go back a month and a half, and it was looking a little iffy for us on the Tiger Stadium playing surface.
Yeah, and Will Brown does a great job, works all the time, making sure it looks good, and Bruce Farber does a great job painting it. We're really fortunate to, we've got as good a surface as anybody, so a lot of people put a lot of work in to make that happen.
And I mentioned a pretty good crowd last night. I hope nobody left after the 80-yard touchdown pass because, they missed the best quarter of the season.
Yeah. Well, get on YouTube and watch the fourth quarter if you left.
Talking this morning with Will Barnes and Jeff Riley here on Saturday Morning Quarterback. Need to get to another break, but we'll continue after this here on 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
If you really enjoy the stories you hear on Traveling the Bluegrass, we'd like to invite you to listen to the whole visit uncut. Just type youragadge.com into your browser. You'll find Traveling the Bluegrass uncut stories in long form, so you don't miss a thing. You'll also find lots of ag news and farm pictures from across the Commonwealth. You can also find all the Kentucky communities that Traveling the Bluegrass can be found. Remember to visit youragadge.com.
More than just social media posts, coverage of your team with a stylish new look and a great new free app, which you need to download or update to now. Get the story with pictures and video like nowhere else. Download now from the crew you know as the area sports leader at yoursportsedge.com. Nowhere else. We are the champions. New app, new look, the gold standard. Yoursportsedge.com. We are the champions. Download now. Yoursportsedge.com.
The Saturday Morning Quarterback Show continues on WPKY. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
We are back on Saturday Morning Quarterback here at 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Do want to remind you that volleyball is going on this afternoon over at University Heights Academy in Hopkinsville. The Lady Tiger volleyball team will play at 3:30 in semifinal action against Crittenden County. A win there, and the Lady Tigers will play again about 5:30 in the championship match against either Livingston Central or University Heights Academy. So Lady Tiger volleyball team going for its 12th All-A Classic Regional Championship. And if you can't make it, we'll have those games for you right here on WPKY with Sue Stone this afternoon calling the action. Again, the Lady Tigers starting with Crittenden County about 3:30 over at University Heights Academy. Again, a big win last night for the Tiger football team, 25-14. The Tigers rallying from a 14-3 deficit in the fourth quarter there. And Will, you were kind of looking for some playmakers to step up, I think, and in the fourth quarter it seemed like everybody was trying to be the guy to make the play.
Yeah, a lot of big plays, and you know, every time there's a big play, somebody makes a big play. You know, there's a bunch of other guys that did something to help out behind the scenes there. So, you know, again, you know, I've said this probably 100 times the last 24 hours, but it was just a really good team win, and really proud of the effort and the fight that we had last night. And you know, if we'll continue to do that, I think we'll be okay, and you know, hopefully, you know, compete in the district and maybe surprise some people with what we can do.
Talking about the defense a little bit, though, Jeff, that was a big hit by Elijah Shaheen on the quarterback last night, and I'm not sure the quarterbacks from Madisonville wanted to scramble a whole lot after that.
Yeah, we talked about trying to get pressure on those kids, and that, you know, number 10's a little bit of a runner, and I think they bring 7 in to kind of get some throws in, and he stepped up in the pocket. I think our D-line rule is if you flush him, you owe him a Coke. I think Elijah owes Drew a Coke, because I think Drew forced him up in the pocket, and Elijah were able to get a good hit on him there and get him on the ground. So, yeah, that was a good thing. And, you know, just like Coach Barnes said, when a big play happens, it's usually someone else had a little something else to do with it too. So that was big for him. I know Elijah was excited, and he come to the sideline humble and ready to come back in the game, and that was make the next play. That's kind of what we talked about this week. So that was good. Good to see that. I think he kind of wanted to kind of show himself to the crowd a little bit, but he held back. So that's good. That's at least what we're talking about is getting through a little bit.
Well, we talk about the comeback and the big plays on offense and the interception. But even after you guys go up 18-14, you know, Madisonville still had the ball with a couple of chances, but the defense didn't give them very much to work with.
Yeah, and that was big. Responding defensively is big. You know, responding after something positive is just as important as responding after something negative. I mean, if, you know, when everybody thinks about something bad happens, you got to, you know, buck up and get ready to go because you got to face the negative thing. But, you know, not relaxing when something positive happens is just as big a deal, especially in the flow of a football game like that. And, you know, as soon as we scored, everybody's like, so I think one of the older kids behind me said, hey, we haven't won. This game's not over, and, you know, whatever. And I was teasing Brady after we scored the first time. Brady says, we haven't won this game yet. And I looked at him and said, well, we need to get ahead before we win, Brady. He's like, yeah, but we're going to, Coach. So it's pretty good.
Well, you do. You get ahead, and then you force the punt, and it ends up, you know, they kind of shank it, so you end up with good field position. Then the offense is able to go down and just kind of, hammer that final nail in.
Yeah, and we talked about Jack's touchdown run, and obviously he made a phenomenal play and great decision, and we did exactly what we were supposed to do up front. With the success Smiley's had the first 2 games, he's drawing a lot of eyeballs, and then on the perimeter, our guys were blocking for a fast screen out there. So, their inside guys were kind of on Smiley. The outside guys were flowing to the fast screen. And when Jack made that decision, there wasn't a whole lot of Madisonville defenders there. So that was a really well executed play. It's, put that on your clinic tape and show how to run inside zone. So, that was a great little series of plays for us on offense and defense. And, the special teams were important too. I think it was the last PAT. It was kind of a weird snap, and Jack got the ball down, and Vivrette kind of had to make an awkward kick to get it in. That's a big PAT there to go up 11 instead of 10. So, good execution there, and Blake is done a great job the first 2 games. We knew he would, and really does a good job on kickoffs as well. So he's a nice weapon to have, that's for sure.
Well, that's huge when you can put that kickoff in the end zone.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was about to say. Defensively, you're like, they got 2 really good athletes back there just ready to get their hands on the ball, and if you can put that sucker in the end zone and not give those guys a chance to touch it, that's as good as a tackle right there. So I like it. I like when those guys can do it. And his leg has gotten stronger. I mean, he's a really good athlete, and he's gotten where he's got confidence kicking the football, and he can kick it. And so even we get I'm looking at we get inside the 30, we got a shot at a field goal, and you can't always say that every year. So that is a big option to have. And he had the distance last night. He just missed it to the left a little bit, I think.
Do you think maybe he tried to get just a little extra into that one and pulled it just enough to miss that upright?
I don't know. All I know is when practice we get out about that far, he can still hit it. So whenever we get in the game, I think, well, if we can hit it in practice, let's try to. If we get a chance, let's try it in the game too. We may not always agree, but that's what I'm thinking now.
Well, we actually talked about it on the broadcast last night, that extra point, because it did take a little while for the ball to get set, and I think Blake actually had to stop and just kind of reset and then still get the kickoff. And of course, he had plenty to get it through, but like I said, at that point, that's a big point to add on the board.
Yeah, absolutely, because if they do go down and score and cut it to a 4-point game or a 5-point game, and have they got to decide to go for 2 or how they're going to handle that whole situation. So being up 11 is a big deal versus 10. So great execution to get that thing through.
So after 2 games, how do you kind of assess your team and where you guys are at right now?
We're doing some good things, and defensively, I thought we played a lot better game last night. Up front, we talked about that earlier. If those guys are going to play well, we'll play well defensively. We're going to have a chance to stay in games, and then offensively, we'll continue to run the ball. And then, we've got to minimize penalties, especially, holdings on first down, and you're in 1st and 20. And then we got to develop a little bit better passing game, and find something that we can kind of hang our hat on in the passing game, because, we've got a good mix going on in the run game, but we've got to be able to throw it just a little bit better, so those guys will respect the pass, and that'll help our run game even more. So, we've got to be able to do that, in the next week or so. So, and if we will, it's not like it's a drastic, huge change we've got to make. It's just a little few small things that if we'll get fixed, I think we'll be able to start finding some explosive plays in the passing game, and when you can run the ball and they have to focus on the run, a lot of eyeballs are on the run game. You can make a lot of big plays in the passing game. So, if we'll continue to work and find something we can kind of be good at in the passing game, I think we'll turn into a decent offense.
Yeah, you guys have just missed a couple of big pass plays the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's just one thing here or there where you're looking at touchdowns. Like I said, when you can run the ball and you can get into 2nd and 5 or 4, and you can play action and take a shot, and we've got to start connecting on some of those to loosen the defense up a little bit.
Well, 1-1 somehow sounds a whole lot better than 0-2. You talk about just being 2 games into the season, but football is a sport. It's not like some sports where you play 30 regular season games. You guys get 10, so 2 games in is a decent little chunk of your season.
Yeah, for sure, and that was really important to get a win and get a little bit of confidence and going into next week. So, no doubt that was a big win last night.
Well, and next week you play a Hopkinsville team that's 0-2. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure. Anybody has played 2 teams better than they have. They opened up a Louisville Ballard, who's got, I think, 2 Division I kids that play defensive line that are really good. They're a pretty good 6A football team in Louisville. I think that score is a little deceiving with some of the things that happened in the game. And, Mayfield's got a really good team this year. And, they're going to be good. Hoptown's going to be really good, but that's why we wanted to scrimmage. That's one of the reasons we scrimmaged Owensboro this year. Is I knew we were going to be playing some good teams out of the gate, and wanted to get some good scrimmages. So we shouldn't be shell shocked or anything going into that game. We should if we go over and compete and play hard, we'll have a chance, and have a good week of practice. We'll be all right.
Some interesting scores last night. Mayfield did knock off Hopkinsville 21-3. Graves County beat Paducah Tillman 41-34. A couple of teams that used to be on the schedule, and maybe we'll see those teams on there again at some point.
Yeah, we with the whole Christian County deal, obviously that's going to open up at least one game. So we would like to play teams in the WKC, and it's just a matter of finding common dates and doing that kind of thing. But those are 2 teams that would be good games for us. So maybe they'll be on the schedule going forward.
A future Tiger opponent coming up in a couple of weeks. Crittenden County opened the season last night, a 53-6 win over Webster County. And, of course, Crittenden County has high hopes this season down there for a good year. Yeah,
they're they've got a really good program down there that Coach Starnes got going, and Coach Thompson kind of carried that on, and Coach Courtney down there does a really good job. They've got good coaches, and when you have sustained success like they've had, that's a sign that you've got pretty good coaches in your program. So they'll have a good team this year for sure.
Another team coming up on the Tigers' schedule this season, Union County, is 2-0. The Braves beat Hopkins County Central 34-15. And, of course, Union blanked Madisonville last week before the Maroons came here.
Yeah, and obviously we watched that game, and Union's got a good team. That's going to be a pretty competitive 3A district, I think. Union's got some skill that look really good, and I think they've got some guys up front that are pretty good too. So Union has got a really good team this year too.
Yeah, Union has put some really good teams out there the last 10, 15, whatever years. Seems like you guys have kind of had their number somehow.
Yeah, they have. And when those were district games, there was a couple times there they really kind of gave us a scare, and they play hard, and they do a good job over there too.
South Fulton, Tennessee beat Ballard Memorial 20-6 last night. And Will, I'm just going to be honest, I don't know much about either one of those teams right now.
No, I'm not real familiar with Ballard's coach, but I know he's been there, and it looked like at 7-on-7 they've got some more guys out there, so they'll be excited, and those kids play hard too. So
Trigg County picked up a win on the road last night, 38-6 at Warren Central, and Trigg County trying to rebuild a little bit this year, and that Warren Central program kind of struggling a little bit too.
Yeah, and I think they played last year, and it was a pretty tight ball game. So, I'm sure Trigg County's improved, and Warren Central's got a new coach, and are probably trying to get everything lined out there. So I think Trigg County will also be improved, and that's why I think that 3A district will probably be pretty competitive this year.
Logan County beat Christian County 49-6 last night, so Logan County with another good team. And another former Tiger opponent that maybe we'll see them back on the schedule again sometime in the future. Marshall County won against Fulton County 46-6 last night. So hopefully we get the Marshalls back on the schedule. Short little trip down to Marshall County, and we used to have some good success with those guys, Will.
Yeah, we'll see. I don't know. Maybe we'll play them. I would like to play them.
Well, it's just interesting that, as we see more and more consolidation, there are fewer and fewer options when you go to start trying to put together a schedule.
Well, yeah, and it's kind of crazy that, we'll play just about anybody in Western Kentucky. We want to try to play people in the WKC, so you would think other people would have the same ideas.
Well, and I didn't write this score down, but I think Bowling Green came back and got McCracken County last night, like 14-10, maybe.
Yeah,
that had to be a heck of a ball game.
Yeah, and I watched a little bit of McCracken County and Tillman last week on YouTube, and I think Bowling Green. I feel like they always play really good defense, and I'm sure that was a great game to watch.
Is McCracken County a school that might end up on the Tiger schedule at some point? It's a big school, but
we'll see.
They have some nice facilities down there.
Yeah, I don't know if we're going to play the consolidated Christian County. I don't know if we'll add McCracken County or not. We'll see.
Well, if we could just go to McCracken County and roll up their turf and bring it here, we can paint the end zones blue and be in good shape. Muhlenberg County is another school that's out there that's a pretty short trip. You don't really think about it as much, but it's maybe 40 minutes up the road?
Yeah. We've talked to and couldn't get anything worked out.
Maybe in the future,
Yeah.
Teams are going to have to reschedule again, in a couple of years? So.
Yeah, so this was the first year, so, the first year of the 2-year cycle, so it'll be, and then, the new realignment will be out as well, so that may throw a wrench in a little bit, but we'll kind of play that by ear.
This is a Saturday morning quarterback show here on WPKY. Need to get to another break, but we'll be back with more. Stay with us here at 1580, 103.3 WPKY.
Here's something you should know.
Virtual Story Hour is still going on each and every week at George Coon Public Library on their Facebook page. Each and every Tuesday at 10 a.m., the kids can still enjoy Story Hour. They can pick up their coordinating crafts for free every single week at George Coon Public Library in downtown Princeton. Don't forget, they now have a drive-through window, too.
1580, 103.3 WPKY. We care about our community.
Your local McDonald's wants you to know that they are ready to serve you for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Dine-in or the drive-thru is always open, and they offer curbside pickup service. To avoid the wait in the drive-thru, you can download the McDonald's app and try curbside pickup. Stop in soon and enjoy breakfast, lunch, or dinner at your local McDonald's. Proud to be a part of this community. McDonald's of Princeton, proud supporters of the Caldwell County Tigers.
The Saturday Morning Quarterback Show continues on WPKY. Here's your host, Todd Griffin.
We are back on the Saturday Morning Quarterback Show here at 1580, 103.3 WPKY. Caldwell County coaches Will Barnes and Jeff Riley in the studio with us. And we mentioned this a couple of times about getting guys back. And I know the coaches never want to harp on who's not there. You guys are always focusing on who is there. But it did make a really big difference, I thought, last night to look out there and see some kids that you guys just did not have available in week one.
Yeah, and, there were a handful of guys that we were able to get back. Jameis Carnahan played a good inside linebacker for us last night, and he's a kid that's going to be a big part of our team. And as he kind of gets back in the flow of the game, he'll be used more on offense too. And Max Kramer's a guy that we didn't think we were going to have back period this year. He decided to use the 5th-year option, and he's really brought a lot of leadership. And last year I was probably pretty hard on him, and his attitude's been great this year. And at halftime he said, "Hey, Coach Barnes, I think if we run a slant to the single receiver side, I think we can hit that. The corners are playing off." And we were able to hit that a couple times in the second half, and that's just from playing and being experienced and kind of having a feel for it. And we ran that a couple times in that second half, and that was a good play to throw the ball and get a quick, easy throw. He made some good catches on those, and we've got to continue to find ways to get him involved in the passing game. You look what he did defensively. Had 5 tackles, had a pass breakup, had an interception. So, he had his fingerprints all over the game, and really proud of his effort last night.
Yeah, and threw a 2-point pass.
That's right. That's right. He'll probably try to play quarterback some more or something.
Yeah.
Well, Jeff, that's a play that everybody else is going to see on film now. They'll have to prepare for that anyway.
Yeah, so then you can just run it to Smiley or somebody, and they can cut out the back because everybody's waiting for the throwback.
Well, the schedule doesn't get any easier with Hopkinsville coming up next week. Have you guys kind of taken a look at them yet, or prepared for them a little bit?
No, we'll probably trade here in the next couple hours with them, but I can tell you they're going to be really good and really athletic. And I talk to Coach Lopez over there probably once a week or once every other week, and they think they've got a pretty good team, and rightfully so. They were in the semifinals last year and lost to a really good Boyle County team that won it. So they've got a lot of those guys back, and it'll probably be the best defensive team we've seen. And they've got a lot of weapons offensively. So, we'll have to play really well to have a chance.
Well, I thought you guys battled them over there last year, and kind of interesting that we have to go 2 years in a row to Hopkinsville, but just the way the COVID schedule kind of worked out last year. But you can't fall behind 21-0 before you ever get an offensive play.
No, you're exactly right.
That was a killer last year.
Yes, and we were down 21-0 before the really even got going, and you can't do that. But you look at that game, I think we had a chance to either tie it or cut it to maybe a score, or keep it a pretty tight ball game, and played them pretty tough over there, and we'll have a chance to do the same if we're going to have to play the best game we played all year. But that's part of it. That's why you play good people.
But practice has to be a whole lot better this week for you guys. Just carrying the momentum from that first win, that's got to be a boost for everybody.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a little bit easier to go through your weekend, and nobody's should be dreading showing up on Monday to watch film. And if we'll get in there and continue to correct some things, we're going to be okay. And it's got to help morale a little bit and help our confidence as well.
Yeah, Jeff, how do you keep the defense humble?
It won't be hard, because I'll just pull up those touchdown plays and be like, "Look, we got to do better than this." They're going to have to just come and get ready to work, because this team we're playing is going to be loaded. They're going to have matchup problems, and we're going to have to find a way to kind of keep those guys in front of us and make tackles. And if you miss the tackles that we miss this one, they're going to go for 6 and not just 8 or 10 yard gain. So we're going to have to shore up our tackling and get to the football and take care of those little things, fundamental things defensively that you do when you play a team that's got a lot of speed. So that's kind of what I anticipate. And I haven't looked at them either, but I just know Hopkinsville's got those guys that you have to keep in front of you. If you don't keep them in front of you, they're gone.
So next week, the Tigers over at the Stadium of Champions to play the Hopkinsville Tigers. And, Will, Jeff, good luck to you guys. Appreciate you coming in, and big win for you guys last night.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I'm proud of our guys. Great effort last night, and, we got to keep that going.
All right, good luck. We'll see you over at Hopkinsville next week.
Thanks, Todd.
That is Will Barnes and Jeff Riley joining us on Saturday Morning Quarterback this week. That's going to wrap it up. Again, the Tigers with a 25-14 victory over Madisonville North Hopkins last night at Tiger Stadium. We've got volleyball action this afternoon here on WPKY. The Lady Tigers playing in the second region All-A Classic over at University Heights Academy in Hopkinsville. Lady Tigers play Crittenden County at 3:30 in a semifinal. If they win that one, they'll play around 5:30 in the championship game against either University Heights Academy or Livingston Central. And again, if you can't make it over, we'll have all the action for you this afternoon right here on WPKY. That's going to wrap up Saturday Morning Quarterback. Thanks for listening here on 1580 103.3 WPKY.
You've been listening to the Saturday Morning Quarterback Show with your host, Todd Griffin. For high school sports news from across the area, go to yoursportsedge.com.
Classic Hits 103.3 1580 WPKY Princeton.